Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first episode of On Texas Football for 2026. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by CJ Vogel. This episode brought to you by our friends Adam Lowy at the Lowy Law Firm. CJ, you were in the Citrus Bowl yesterday afternoon watching what transpired. I got to tell you, it's a game for the ages for Arch Manning. Yesterday had a tremendous game, 21 of 34. 2 touchdowns throwing, 2 touchdowns running. He was the difference in this game yesterday. Just a tremendous performance. One that I think is, as I wrote yesterday on ontexasfootball.com, just a rare, amazing, great, superb, all of those adjectives performance for a young man that is still getting better.
Yeah, still getting better, and we've seen that week after week in the second half of the season. His legs Wednesday afternoon were absolutely fantastic, 155 yards, Bobby, and even plays where he didn't pick up positive yards with his legs, he extended plays, right? There weren't any sacks, but there was a lot of pressure, and I think that's more a testament to him feeling what's around him, evading, eluding, escaping, every word with an E, right? Just throw it out there. But he was spectacular yesterday. And, it's another step into that development, that growth as a quarterback. And I've talked about it since that game concluded. But anytime Texas needed an answer offensively, it felt like Arch Manning willed his team and his side of the ball. And that's what the greats do, Bobby.
That is, and that's what I was thinking. It was a tremendous performance. I've been watching Texas football for 45, 50 plus years now, I guess. And I can think of a handful of performances where a player like lifted his team or kind of willed them to victory and had a tremendous game. He finished 21 of 34 for 221 yards. 4 or 5 drops at it in there, CJ, and it would have been a 25 or 26 of 34 performance, maybe another touchdown involved in that as well. Rushed for $155 and 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdown runs. One, I think, 22 yards. The other one, 60 yards. A key conversion on 4th and 3 where he shirked off a would-be pass rusher and just kind of ran through him for a long first down. I look at it, CJ, and what we witnessed yesterday is the development and continual progression of somebody. And I don't know that we've seen his best game yet.
Yeah,
I still think he may have left some yardage on the field, but he does so many things right. And he's just got a feel for it. And I tell you what, it opened up the run game a little bit for Christian Clark, which is what I want to talk about next. I would have not thought Texas would have a 100-yard rusher against Michigan, a defense that prides itself in stopping the run. But young Christian Clark was one of the stories of the game as well.
Yeah, he absolutely was. I wanted to go back to Arch Manning because you mentioned he hasn't played his best game, right? I think that's still ahead. And I think we might see multiple games in 2026 where we sit there and say, whoa, that was special. But the fine folks over at Real Analytics, they throw out the miles per hour, right? It's really interesting to see how they track the speed of breakaways on the football field. Arch Manning, 21.7 miles per hour, Bobby. That's the fastest of any quarterback this year.
Yep.
That just speaks to the level of talent that I think Texas is working with at the quarterback position. And again, I know 2025 was a rocky road. We've talked about it, but if that doesn't get you excited for what's to come for a 4th-year Arch Manning, I don't know what will. It's going to be fun. And
he's got some real talent on him. He's starting to learn how to play within the pocket, use his legs to extend plays. I think some receivers are learning how to play with him. I mean, it was a fine end of the season. Texas, after starting 3-2, CJ, finishes 8-1. Let's go back to Christian Clark, though, because I think he deserves a hat tip. Young man out of Phoenix, Arizona area, had a tremendous game. And we talked this last month, really, saying that Texas needed somebody unsung or unheralded to step up to win this game. Christian Clark, no question, was one of those players for the Longhorns.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic. Right off the bat, 22-yard rush on the first attempt of the game. You sit there and say, well, okay, I like what I'm seeing from Christian Clark. But, that's part of the learning curve of a young running back is the speed of the game. And I thought yesterday, Bobby, we watched a very decisive Christian Clark. He ran with purpose. He ran with intent. He knew how to go slow. He knew when to speed it up. He understood where his holes were going to be created, and he knew when to bounce it as well. Something that I don't think he, at least not immediately, understood or had in his back pocket whenever he was on the field in September. And look, you talk about taking advantage of snaps and taking advantage of developmental time. He did exactly that, and credit to him because he spoke in the postgame. He said, I knew that I had an opportunity ahead of me, and I wanted to make sure that I took full advantage. Well, 105 yards, he absolutely did exactly that, and it was great to see him find the end zone once again.
Yeah, I agree with you. He has the ability to be physical, even if he's small. I really loved how he pass protected yesterday, and just he did a lot of little things, CJ. Yes. And when you're looking for someone to step up, that's what you're looking for. What did you think of the Texas defense overall on Wednesday?
Yeah, no, I thought early on it was very easy to look at and say, well, if you're seeing 7 starters not on the field, it's feeling like their absence was very evident early on. The one thing that kept sticking with me is, Michigan was 4-4 at one point on 4th downs. And all of those 4th downs, for the most part, were 4 yards to go or less. So Texas was doing a fine job of making Michigan earn everything. And for whatever reason, maybe it was a starter here or there that wasn't on the field that could have made an impact elsewhere, right? They just couldn't get off the field. And I thought maybe in that third quarter, you'd sit around and say, hey, I don't know if they have the juice to get off the field. And then Ty Anthony Smith said, I got this, guys. Don't you worry. But ultimately, it was this. We saw a lot of youngsters, a lot of inexperienced guys. And I thought they made some fine plays as the game progressed. As they started to feel more comfortable, they grew. And obviously, their play was mirroring that as well. But ultimately, I thought that was basically the performance we were going to get with some bright moments thrown in there as well.
I was intrigued because I thought Michigan with their run game was actually controlling the game into the third quarter. And then all of a sudden Texas goes up on them, thanks in part to that Ty Anthony Smith interception. And once they forced Michigan into being one-dimensional and having to really rely on Bryce Underwood, he's a one-read quarterback right now.
Yeah. One thing I have to tip my cap to with Steve Sarkisian is this. Look, Sark said, hey, we're going to make this into a track meet. I thought Texas very early came out with one of the fastest tempos we've seen this season from a Texas offense, saying we want to go quick. We want a lot of possessions. We don't want Michigan to control the clock and the time of possession. And for the first half, it was basically that style of game, right? Teams were going quick. There were a lot of points, a lot of possessions. That's what I think Texas wanted to do. And then we saw that third quarter, like you mentioned, where Michigan said, we're going to sit on this ball a little bit, right? They doubled up Texas in time of possession in the third quarter. They won the second half time of possession, 19-11. Ultimately, look, you have a one-play 60-yard touchdown. That plays a big factor in there. But Michigan wanted and did play their style of football more so in that third quarter. But Texas came up big to make sure that, hey, that was it. You get one quarter and that's it.
Yeah, you get one quarter. And I look at it, and there are just so many positive things that happened on Wednesday from a youth perspective, from a team stepping up. Sark in the postgame talked about the culture that he feels like he's built around Austin. This is the third consecutive 10-win season for the Longhorns as well. That's a record that they broke that was held back in 07, 08, and 09. It's the first time, or it's not a record, but it's the first time they've done it since that time. The lost decade, so to speak, now it seems like it's in the rearview mirror. Let's talk a little bit more, though, about some things that didn't look so good. But first, remind folks about our sponsor. That's Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. Reach out to Adam if you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, from ATV to 18-wheeler. Reach out to them at loweylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that is loweylawfirm.com. Adam, a Texas law school grad. Hey, CJ, the next piece, special teams on Wednesday, not special. Actually, got the Michigan on the board first with the Ryan Niblett fumble, then 3 long returns in the kickoff game by the Wolverines, as well as a punt return that was pretty good Texas did not, and Jeff Banks, other than Mason Shipley and maybe Jack Bomeister punting pretty well, it was just not a good afternoon for the Texas special teams units.
No, and I talked to Jeff Howe about this last night after the game, and it felt very correctable, right? Very simple fixes, and it's just as simple as in special teams, as kickoff especially, where Texas was gashed pretty often. You have a lot of brand new players and brand new responsibilities and brand new roles because of opt-outs or because, hey, they're trying to get new guys on the field. I understand you want to pin guys deep, but after the first one breaks, you're, again, working with a unit that probably hadn't been that 10 or 11 gunners on the field at the same time. There's no need to continue to pooch or continue to give them returnable kicks. And I don't know if Spencer Barnett, who was doing the kickoff duties, had the leg to make it to the end zone. I thought so. He's made a 60-yard field goal at Austin Westlake before, but it felt to me like, knowing that you weren't going to have an experienced core in that unit, why put them on the field to make that play anyways? So the special teams has been a head scratcher. It's been a roller coaster all year. Obviously, all the punt returns have been great, but more than that, penalties. Anytime that Texas has a big return elsewhere, penalties back them up, and that is just sheer discipline, something that Texas hasn't had in special teams the entire season.
Well, you talk about penalties, and Texas will finish. I think they have 12 called against them on Wednesday. Texas will finish this season as one of the worst most penalized teams in the country, in the 130s. They're ranking, I think, 131st out of 133 FBS teams. I mean, it's that low. So that's something to work on in the offseason, no doubt about it, and something they'll pay attention to. Other pieces of the game that I think I want to give a hat tip to. First of all, the Texas pass rush. I thought Colin Simmons, Zeno Umeozulu, Alex January, Hero Canoe, Colton Vosick, Lance Jackson. I felt like those, even Smith Orogbo late in that game, got after the Michigan passing game pretty regularly. And this is a Michigan offensive line that's pretty darn good.
No, it absolutely is. And, they only had one opt-out on that offensive line. It was a guard. So you're sitting there saying, okay, well, if that's going to impact anything, it would probably be the interior. But I thought for sure Texas was seeing a lot of pressure from the edges. And, of course, anytime you have Colin Simmons rushing the passer body, man, that's fun to be on that side of the football, rooting for that side of the game when Simmons is on your side of the field there. But they were making Bryce Underwood, feel it very quickly in that game. And I think that stuck with them. Evidently, I think that was a big reason why Ty Anthony Smith was able to come down with back-to-back interceptions, is being flush from the pocket, having to extend and create down the field. And he just didn't have that in his bag. But that pass rush, again, looking ahead, is one of the biggest reasons for optimism with this team in 2026, no doubt.
It absolutely is. Colin Simmons, he's just a different level. I think Zena is just getting started.
Most sacks in the SEC, by the way. Colin Simmons.
He finished with 12 this year. Is that correct? Most sacks in the SEC. Great job by him, and congratulations to the young man out of Duncanville. Last aspect I want to give a special shout out to. I want to give a shout out to the offensive line. I thought the offensive line on Wednesday played really, really well. No sacks. You mentioned that with Arch. So, yes, he absolutely played well to make that happen. But this was an offensive line that started this season much maligned. I don't think there's any question. And while we can say that as any one person or player improved through the year, it was Arch Manning. If any one position improved throughout the year more than the offensive line, I'm here to listen. But I think it's just the offensive line played another fantastic, not even another fantastic, just another solid performance. 100-yard rushers, no sacks on the quarterback. They came together late in the year, in my opinion. Yeah,
no, I think it was a solid performance. I'm going to be a little harsher on them, but again, from what we saw at the beginning of the year, it's night and day difference, Bobby. And I think there's still learning curves in there. You still had 3, holding calls on your offensive line. You still had a couple false starts. So hey, that goes back to discipline, and that's something that even beyond the offensive line, we didn't see a lot of discipline with this Texas football team for the entire season. So keep that in mind. But you're right. There was noticeable growth, and It kind of makes you wonder, had Texas made the playoff and won a game, could we have seen the best version still to come with that starting five specifically? Probably so, but definitely made a difference down the stretch. And as you mentioned earlier, you finished the year 8-1.
Yeah. They finished last 9 games of the year 8-1, and I think that they put it together finally on the offensive line, because no offensive line is perfect.
Absolutely.
Not when you're playing the teams that Texas played this year, but vastly improved from start to finish.
Yes.
Vastly. If that offensive line that finished the year would have started the year that way, I think Texas is in the playoffs. And you can also say that about their quarterback as well. Both of those positions really improved. All right, last thing for you. Had to mention this, and this is our rapid reaction show. I mentioned this to Rod last night. What do you think, CJ? Texas finishes 10-3. Oklahoma was ranked higher going into college football playoffs. A&M finishes 11-2. Texas beat both of them by double digits. Should Texas be ranked higher in the final college football poll than both the Aggies and the Sooners?
At least Texas scored a point in the postseason, right? A touchdown in the postseason. That's something that they can hang their hat on. But look, the head-to-head, absolutely, they should. And again, no team in the country has as many ranked wins than the Texas Longhorns. Another one over Michigan adds to the Texas total of 4 at the moment. They played like a team that was deserving in this game on Wednesday to be in the college football playoff. But I'll tell you this, I know for sure they should be ranked ahead of Texas A&M and Oklahoma in the final polls.
Yeah, they should be, and I think probably Miami now has matched that number, I guess, with their victory over Ohio State last night as well. All right, CJ, that's going to do it. We'll be back with Coffee and Football. Myself, Jerry Hamilton, as well as Blake Monroe. We have the grades coming up with CJ, Coach Shipley, as well as Jeff Howe. Second watch with Rod Babers. We got a bunch of stuff coming. Also, I want to say we've got a special going on right now, starting the new year. And the portal literally opens in 24 hours. We expect potentially a couple of official visitors from the portal when it opens tomorrow, and then a couple more potentially on January 3rd as well. In order for you guys to get everything that we have to offer, I mean, because we're going to have so many updates, and we can't do them all on the video at the same time. We have a special one-time offer just for this month and just for the portal. $1 for 1 month subscription. That's all you have to do. $1 for 1 month. It is only good for new subscribers, not for old subscribers or people that are already subscribing, etc. This is an introductory rate, but we want to make sure everybody gets the latest recruiting news out there from the portal. It all starts today. There are going to be some more names go into the portal, and Texas is going to have to deal with some retention issues as well, and we'll be tracking that as well. Obviously, you can also stay tuned to this channel, like and subscribe this video to help us out. But I want to give you that opportunity, $1 for 1 month of ontexasfootball.com to give yourself a try and see if you like it. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you again to our friends over at Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, reach out to Adam and his team, LowyLawFirm.com. That's LowyLawFirm.com. They'll give you a free consultation to see if you're due compensation, thanks to Adam for his sponsorship. All right, for CJ Vogel and our producer, Matt Hudson, I'm Bobby Burton. Congratulations and Happy New Year to the 10-3 Texas Longhorns. Hug 'em.